All right, we are live. Hi guys.
Hello, everybody.
What day is this? Happy Thursday. Yes. For me all the days are the same now. There's no difference.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's
So
like all blended together. Like you
it
can't tell
really
apart the
is.
weekend and
Yeah.
weekdays anymore.
Yeah. Actually, I was talking to Lisa last night that I actually prefer my weekdays now. Because
Wow.
doing these webinars, I don't know, they just give me something to do, and it kind of makes like at least half of the day go faster.
Hmm.
This past weekend I just felt like I was kind of miserable, really, like it's just these long days, nothing to do. uh,
Yeah, gosh, I agree with you. The webinars are like it kind of gives you something fun to do. And
yeah,
I love when
exactly.
students comment and we have some interaction.
Yeah, get
Yeah.
interactions, plus it's quite nice also to meet students from other cities,
Yeah,
which is we've been
true.
getting a lot of students, especially from Naples. It's been quite nice, yeah, meeting everyone.
Yeah.
How are you doing overall, Anika? Do you live with other people? Like, do you have some interaction,
Um,
day to day?
Unfortunately, I don't. I live on my own at the moment, which made it difficult at the beginning, but now I'm a little bit more used to it.
It's become more of a
Like
routine.
speaking of the quarantine, yeah. So you do not want to, yeah. And what about you,
I
Chago? Do
see.
you live? I know you live with roommates. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So I've got two flatmates. One of them, she's actually staying with her. She's been with her boyfriend for a
Hmm.
couple weeks now, so I don't think she's even allowed to come back here. But I do have
Hmm.
another flatmate, so yeah, that's been like really keeping me sane, I think.
Okay.
Which is a
Yeah.
nice actually word, sane, because I know at least in Italian when you use the word sano, it means like
Hmm.
healthy. In
Oh,
English,
quite
sane is
different.
more of like if you're mentally healthy, as in if you feel you're not. It's like the opposite of crazy almost.
Yeah.
Sane,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's the
Yeah.
opposite of.
I imagine it surely helps staying sane if you have a roommate with you or somebody with you.
Yeah, it's been really
Yeah.
because usually I appreciate kind of like alone time, but it's been
Mm.
really really nice just being locked inside like this. So,
Mm.
guys, fantastic. I see that we have three people that have joined us so far. If you are able to comment, I know that you need a Google account to do this. Do let us know, as you can see in the bottom, let us know your name, where you come from, anything else that might be interesting, so we know who you are. In the meantime, I guess we can introduce ourselves as well. So we're both teachers from one of the Milan schools. We're from Milan Meraviglie, which is the central school. My name is Thiago, as you can see underneath my image. I'm 29. I am originally from Brazil, though I've spent several years in California growing up. And then we have.
I am Anika. My name is Anika. I'm also a teacher at Mayes Meravilli in Milan. I am originally from Bangladesh. I'm 31, and when I was 19, I moved to Malaysia, very beautiful country. And I've been living in Italy around 6 years now. Yeah.
Great. So have
So,
you
hi,
spent
Chiara from
all
Milan.
6 years in Milan, Anika, since you moved here?
No, I haven't actually. I used to live in Rome the first couple of years,
Ah, I
and then I
see.
moved to Milan. Hmm.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, welcome, Chiara. So Chiara's also from Milan. I remember, yeah, I definitely remember the cute dog from other
Oh,
lessons. So welcome back. And we have Davide joining us from Verona as well. So great, guys.
yeah.
Welcome to our webinar. So today we will be talking about film reviews, which can perhaps be a useful one, especially since so many of us are kind of stuck at home these days. So, Anika, what is a review? The word review.
So, review for something means when you have experienced it, or you have
Hmm.
seen a film, or you've read a book, and you want to talk about it and talk about how it was for you. So, I think that's how I would describe a review.
Exactly. Yeah, I like how you also mentioned
You
films, of
can,
course, books.
mm,
I think restaurants is another
yeah.
common sort of place to get reviews, or
Mhm.
hotels. Yeah. So we'll be talking about some
Sure.
of these opinions about films, but also TV series. I don't know about you guys, but I don't watch many films. I don't know why, but I
Oh,
strongly prefer
really?
TV series. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know if
Okay, okay.
maybe
You prefer
because
TV series over films. Hmm.
yeah, I prefer TV series. Maybe because the characters tend to be the same for longer. I think when you start a
Hmm.
new film, there's a lot of new information, right? It's all new characters, a
Yeah,
completely different plot. Um,
sure.
so yeah, yeah, plot is nice word as well. It's the of the story of the book or story of the film.
Yeah.
Plot. Okay. And welcome, Patrick, as well. Patrick joining us from Como. I remember you from yesterday. Great.
Hmm.
So, yeah, guys. Now, today we have a few objectives. We're going to be looking at some grammar, especially asking questions using the simple past,
Hmm.
describing films, and also writing a film review. Now, of course, we'll be doing less writing than you would maybe do in school with this, but please
Hmm.
do use the comment box to give us feedback. It's a really good way for us to correct you, for you to use a new vocabulary. So do interact with us. All right, so to get started, we have a few questions about watching films. So remember that when we ask questions in English, we use this form that I'm about to put on the screen. We use this quasi form. So Anika, do you want to tell them what quasi stands for?
Sure. So this is like a formula to structure your questions correctly. So the first part, QU, refers to the question word that you have to use. So question words are words that ask for information. For example, what, where, who, when, how, and so on. And then comes after question word, you have to put the auxiliary verb. It can either be do or the verb to be. But
Mhm.
then you have to change the form of the auxiliary according to the subject. So subject is what S stands for. So subjects can be I, you, he, she, we, they. And at the end, you use the infinitive form of the verb. That's what
Very
I
nice.
stands for.
Great explanation, Nika. Very concise. Perfect. Thank you. Exactly,
You're
guys.
welcome.
So, pretty much every question in English, every open question that we ask, we use this form, quasi, as Anika explained. You know, simple things like, for example, where do you live? So, if
Yeah.
you just look at that question there we
Hmm.
go. And if I want to ask this in the past, I just have, oh, perfect. Chiara just gave us a really nice example of the past. When did, so you just changed the auxiliary. When did you
Hmm.
watch the last film? Yeah, exactly. When did you watch your last film? That works fairly well, Chiara. That's great. So let us know in the comments, guys, the 5 questions that we have there. And exactly, just a little spelling correction there. Watch.
Hmm.
So you don't
Yeah.
need the initial H.
Yeah.
So yeah, Patrick. Also, I saw I missed your question, Patrick. When do you watch? Now, here it's a good question. I would only do what Chiara did. So change the do to did. So it's in the past. Because if you say when do, you're asking in general.
Hmm.
So I could say, for example, Anika, when
Hmm.
do you watch films? In general, when do you watch
Yeah,
films?
in general, yeah. In general, I watch films. Well, nowadays, I watch films at least 2 or 3 times a week.
There you go, 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And you watch it in the afternoon, in the evening?
Mm. I normally watch it in the evening
Mm-hmm.
during the week, and but sometimes at the weekends I watch it in the afternoon, and sometimes much earlier because I have more time the weekends.
Yeah,
What about you,
exactly.
Chago? When do you usually watch films?
I think well, it depends. I think nowadays I usually watch TV in the afternoon because I usually work in the evening, but I
Hmm.
also watch TV later at night after I am done teaching and having dinner.
I see. Hmm.
All right. So good job there, guys, with when. What about the first question? If you want to know the name, the title of the last film or the last TV series that someone
Hmm.
watched, how can we ask that question? That one is a little trickier.
Yeah. So the question word would be what?
Hmm.
And if you guys know how to structure the question, just try it out.
Yeah, so maybe while you guys are typing, we're just going to move on because there's sometimes a little bit of a delay with these comments.
Mhm.
Now, this first one, I think the most natural way is
Mhm.
what was the last movie you watched? So this is a little confusing, right? Because I mean, before we were using did, where did you see, or just like Kiara put here, who did you watch it with? Perfect. So we're using did. But in the first question, we say, what was the last film you
Yes.
watched? And the reason why we do this, the reason why we use verb to be in the auxiliary is because we
Mhm.
don't have another verb. Think of the answer. So, the last film I watched was The Joker. So, see, the only verb that I have is verb to be.
Mhm.
So, if I don't have a second verb, I use be.
Mhm.
So, what was the last film you watched?
Yeah.
Number two, we do have a verb, like Chiara told us. So, who did you
Mhm.
watch it with?
Excellent.
Exactly. Here, Patrick, I think you have a nice idea for the first one. So, which is when you have a choice. So, if I show you, for example, two films and I want to know which of the two, you could say, which film did you watch? That works okay as well.
Hmm.
Which film did you watch last, perhaps?
Hmm.
Okay, and then where? How would we form number three, guys?
Yeah. So again with the quasi rule. So while we're
Mhm.
waiting for their answers, maybe we can discuss the answers to this
Sure.
question.
Yeah.
So what was the last film we watched, Thiago? Or
So
TV series that we watched?
actually, last night I watched the new Lady and the Tramp movie
Okay.
because I activated a Disney Plus free trial.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that that was available. When I was young, I used to love Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, I love that
Uh,
one too.
and they have an animated, kind of like a kind of movie, but with a 3D animation. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you saw that. So
Kind
I
of like
watched
the
that last night.
Lion King, maybe.
Kind of like The
It's
Lion King. Yes, exactly.
cool,
So that was the last film I watched yesterday.
cool, nice.
And what about you, Anika? What was the last film that you watched?
So the last film I watched was a couple of days ago. I watched. You're not gonna believe this. Cast Away. Have you
Oh
seen it, maybe?
yeah, yeah, of course,
Yeah,
with Tom
yeah,
Hanks.
yeah. So I had watched it a long time ago
Hmm.
before, but I just wanted to watch it again because I was kind of remembering that film.
Yeah,
Can
that's a
kind of
good
relate
one.
to it right now.
Right, just feeling so isolated. Maybe you guys,
I
I don't
know.
know if I know that sometimes when you translate movies, they kind of lose the meaning a bit. But Castaway is the one with Tom Hanks where they have the Wilson, is that what it's called? The ball.
Oh yeah, they have like a volleyball.
A volleyball, yeah, with a hand or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, great. Cool. Patrick, great job. Where did you watch the film? Yes. Nice question. And
nice.
welcome, Katerina. Yesterday evening, I watched an interesting documentary about Venice, and I watched it with my parents at home. Great. So you answered several questions there, Katerina. You told us what, you told us who, you told us where, you told us when. Nicely done. So when
Yeah.
did you? And then for your opinion, guys, there are different ways. I think the most natural is maybe what did you think?
Hmm.
Oh, Patrick, yes. 2 days ago, I watched Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
I love
Fantastic.
Harry Potter.
Me too. I'm actually reading, I'm rereading all of the Harry Potter books
Oh,
right now.
nice. I
I
used
have,
to be obsessed with Harry Potter
me
when I was
too. Oh my
younger.
gosh, same. I got
I
this.
read the books over like so many times.
Yeah, because we had to wait for the new ones, right? Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Those were the good times.
so I actually had, I had this in my kitchen. So I got this for a birthday one. So this is like the illustrated version of like the first one. And so it's
Nice.
really cool. So you got like all the art. Oh, it's so nice. Yeah.
It's even hardcover and everything. It's really
Yeah, and
cool.
it's like really big. So
Wow.
cool, cool.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, the rest of you guys, let us know. So Patrick and Katerina, they already gave us some answers. If anyone
Mm.
else, let us know. You don't have to answer every question, but maybe choose like two or three, and let us know the
Mm.
in the comments. What was your favorite Harry Potter book and movie, Anika?
Well, I think I like if I have to choose one favorite, I would have to say one of those earlier ones and not the later ones.
So like the
Probably part
movies.
three. For the movies and for the book, I don't remember the movies much because probably I didn't even finish them. But as for the books, I like the third one the best, The Prisoner of Azkaban,
Ah,
with
yes.
Sirius in there. Yeah,
That one is great. And I think the movie for Prisoner of Azkaban is also fantastic.
yeah.
It was just so, yeah, so creative. I think the director did a great job with it. It was
Mm,
definitely a big change in style, right? From the first two, which
yeah,
was, it
that's
felt
true.
a
Mm,
bit more like maybe like kind of like for a younger audience. And then I think with the
mm.
third, it started getting a little bit darker as well. So
True, true.
cool.
And also they were introducing new character, so
Yeah, and that's when,
plot
of
had a
course,
really
the
different path.
original actor that played Dumbledore, he passed away,
Mm,
and so that was a
yes.
big change as well.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
you're right. Hmm.
yeah, Patrick is telling us I read and watched more and more the books and movies about Harry. Great, so we're another Harry Potter fan.
Hmm.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Chiara, my favorite Harry Potter movie is the fourth. So you also like the Goblet of
Goblet of Fire.
Fire?
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
What about you, Chago? What's your favorite?
So my favorite movie is the third one, Prisoner of Azkaban. I
Oh,
think
cool.
my favorite book. That's actually a really good one. Now, I think the Order of the Phoenix, I liked because we got so many answers. And so I
Hmm.
remember being really into that book. And I remember at the end of it being obsessed to
Hmm.
find out who RAB was.
The fifth one, I
Uh,
guess. Right?
the
Hmm.
fifth one, yeah, when you learn about like what's behind, uh,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't want to like, of course, give any spoilers in case anyone for
Yeah, yeah.
somehow didn't watch the movies, but I think you
Yeah,
get a
you
lot of
learned something about
information.
Severus Snape in that book, if I remember
I
right.
think that's the sixth, the
That's the
Half
sixth.
Blood
All right.
Prince. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Hmm.
I'm like a total Harry Potter nerd. Like, I think it's so
Okay.
exciting. I
Oh,
can
you
like
remember
switch this
about
lesson
that?
and make it all about Harry Potter now. So go ahead and stop me.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so we can maybe move on.
Patrick, my favorite movie is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Good. And my favorite book is Harry Potter and the Order. Great. There you go.
Cool.
Nice. All right, guys. Fantastic. So let's move on before I get too excited. Let's talk a little bit about film genres. And this is a funny pronunciation because we keep kind of the French pronunciation here. So we say genre, like garage, etc. So a few questions. Anika, do you want to read these questions?
Sure. So the first one is, what is your favorite film? Why do you like it? And what is your least favorite film? Why don't you like it?
Yeah. So guys, of
Now,
course, this is not so easy. Your favorite, your least favorite. I don't know how to answer that question. So think about a film that you liked and a film that you didn't like. It doesn't have to be favorite or least favorite.
yeah, that's definitely a hard question because there's so many films that I like a lot that I would define as favorite.
Yeah, like I don't know. This question in general, what's your favorite actor, your favorite
Yeah.
singer, your favorite? I never know how to really answer it. So
Well, I would have to say that if the films with a lot of twist in the plot are usually my favorites.
ooh, nice.
So a film like that you really have to think about, like Inception or The Butterfly Effect. Like some of these films, you have to watch it twice to actually get what's actually happening. So I love those films with a plot twist. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Very
Something
nice
changes
plot
a lot
twist.
suddenly.
Yeah, so before we talked how a plot is the story, so a twist is when you change. So you think the movie is going in one direction and then it goes in a different direction. Very nice expression, Anika. Katerina, she says, for me, the Harry Potter movies, I would maybe put the S, so the Harry Potter movies are more interesting than the books. However, I think the latest episodes and books are less exciting. Yeah, it's certainly different. I think the tone changes a lot from the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you prefer the movies. I definitely have always preferred the books. Maybe
Same.
because I expect so much, and there's some characters that are never really introduced in the movies that I quite liked, and so maybe that's why. But yeah, there's definitely a big difference between the beginning and the end.
Right. And it's also really hard to capture everything in the book to a movie. So I think that's the reason why generally movies are really more, I mean, we don't like the movies as much as the books,
Yeah, it's
myself.
hard for it to live up to that expectation.
Mhm.
Although I would say that one that I actually preferred the movies over the books is Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
I
really?
found the books very, like, I don't want to say
Mm.
boring, but I found the descriptions were a lot. And so sometimes just to describe the place where they had entered, it was like 4 or 5 pages of description after description after description that I got lost. And I think they did an incredible job with the films.
I see. Yeah, that was a very good movie. Although I actually enjoyed the book as well, but just
Hmm.
because the language was so nicely written. So I
Yeah,
agree, they were like dragging things a lot. They were talking too much about something, but somehow I enjoyed
you
it
did.
so far.
Yeah. I had trouble finishing it. I think I read the first two and I
It's
didn't
very
finish
long.
the last
Yeah,
one.
very
Yeah.
long. True.
Cool. So, guys, as you answer also the maybe a film that you like or a film that you don't like, I know we've been talking a lot about Harry Potter as well. Let us know any genres, any film genres that you can think of. For example, Harry Potter. What genre does Harry Potter belong to? What would you say, Anika, Harry Potter?
I would have to say fantasy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
So Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, yeah, they belong to the fantasy genre.
yeah.
What are some others that come to mind? Fantasy, yes, Patrick. Good. Good,
Kiara also.
Chiara. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, any other genres, just let us know. We can just brainstorm, make a list.
Do you have a favorite genre of films, Thiago?
Mm, I like a lot of different genres. I like fantasy in general. I like sci-fi, science
Hmm.
fiction, but more of like a dystopian sci-fi sort of film.
Hmm.
So, when you think of like Black Mirror, that kind of plot I quite like. Not so big into like space movies though.
All right.
So things like even Star Wars, no, I
Mhm.
never really got into it so much.
Mm.
Even though it is a combination of kind of fantasy and sci-fi, I don't know
Mhm.
why it just never really,
Hmm.
clicked with me so much.
Hmm.
Chiara is telling us my favorite film is Titanic because it is a very yeah, you can say it's a romantic story, and romance is a good genre. Yeah, so romance is the genre, romantic is the adjective. Davide, my favorite genre is thriller. Yeah, I also like thrillers quite a lot. Yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
one.
they're very engaging.
Yeah,
They keep you hooked.
yeah. In fact, that's where originally the word thrill means excitement, right? So it kind of keeps you,
Mhm.
all your emotions are. And my
Mm.
favorite genre is action movie, and my favorite film is The Godfather. Yes.
Mm.
Patrick, I spent a few summers working in Palermo when I first moved to Italy, and I used to work behind Teatro Massimo. And I remember the first time I saw it, I was very excited
Mhm.
because the last
Wow.
scene of the movie, of the third
Mhm.
Godfather movie, is filmed right there on the Teatro Massimo's the staircase, the steps. So
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
yeah.
I've never got to the third part actually.
They're very
But
long,
I've
yeah.
heard good things about it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, guys. Great. So let's have maybe a look here while you let us know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I will read maybe the first column, and then Anika, if you want to look at the second
Sure,
one.
I
So
will.
fantasy, which we talked about, romance, which I believe maybe Kata mentioned before, action as well, which Patrick I think told us, comedy and western. Oh, this is one I don't like so much as western films.
Hmm.
It's whatever. Okay.
Okay. So we have animation, we have musical, horror, science fiction, and documentary.
Yeah,
Now,
documentary.
horror is
Someone mentioned in the beginning they watched a documentary. Was it maybe
about Venice.
Chiara or no, Caterina? Caterina told us about a
Yeah.
documentary about Venice.
I may have watched the documentary about Venice that I don't know if it's the same one, but um, not so long ago, I saw this documentary about Venice that said that because of global warming and sea level rise, Venice could be like underwater in like
And
100 years.
yeah,
It's like a really sad information to find out.
yeah.
And then we have horror in the list as well. So I don't know about you guys, but I love horror films. What about you, Chago? Do you love horror films?
I used to when I was younger, especially growing up. One film that I loved was Child's Play with
Oh,
like
I
the
don't think
Chucky doll.
Oh, right, yeah.
That one. I was
That was
obsessed with it when I was little. Um, and yeah, I used to really like it. Nowadays, I like it, but I find it sometimes difficult to find original plots.
Hmm.
I feel like they can be quite repetitive sometimes. But I
Yeah.
do, yeah. If it's a good horror movie, I definitely do. What are some
Yeah.
of your favorites, Anika, films?
Um, okay, it's hard to come up with one just now. I remember watching the others that I really liked.
The
Was kind
others.
of like it involved ghosts and like supernatural things. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't a horror in terms of like a bloody kind of thing, but it's more about ghosts. Have you seen the film The Others by
No,
any
I've never heard of it. No.
Then there was The Mist, which I probably more people are familiar with,
That one,
based
yeah.
on
Is it
Stephen
on
King's.
Netflix? Is it
I'm
available
not
or
sure
no?
because I
Some of
don't
this
have
is.
Netflix, but then
Uh-huh.
it's based on Stephen King's book,
Ah, I see. Okay.
The Mist. It's um it's about an alien that invaded the Earth,
Oh,
and it was
cool.
about like a group of people who were stuck in a supermarket, and they
Really?
just
So
couldn't get out.
the whole movie that kind of takes place inside the supermarket?
Yes, yeah,
Nice.
very
Well,
interesting.
that
Now would
sounds
be the
really
time to
interesting.
like get some kick out of this movie.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So, what
Uh,
about you guys? If you have any suggestions for a good movie, please tell us and also mention the genre of the film. That'll
yeah.
be interesting.
Or if there's
So we
anything
can
that
all,
a genre that you like or you don't like, just
yeah,
give us some input.
yeah.
Musical is another interesting one. I feel like musicals can be a bit of a hit or miss.
Hmm.
A hit or miss is like it can be great or it can be terrible.
Yes,
Um, I
I
like
totally agree with you.
very few of them I actually enjoy, to be honest. I find
Hmm.
it can be a little bit cheesy, as in a bit too
Yeah,
exaggerated sometimes.
yeah.
But I do like a few. I mean, West Side Story comes to mind. I quite like that one.
Hmm.
Sound of
Honestly,
Music
I
is
can.
actually nice, even though it is very cheesy.
Oh, I do like an animation film that is a. I don't know if you would call it a musical. There's music in it, but I don't think Frozen is a musical. Would you call it a musical? Not really, right? Like there are songs in the
Hmm.
movie, but the whole movie doesn't involve music.
But I guess, yeah. See, I think of a musical. It's like, yeah, when you're like, there's like you're watching regular scenes, and then all of a sudden, like everyone breaks into some like kind of choreographed
Yeah,
singing and dancing that is unrealistic, as in, it wouldn't happen in the real world like that. I think that's
yeah,
what I associate with musicals usually.
yeah. So probably Frozen like is a good musical if you can call it
Yeah.
a
Lots of
like
Disney cartoons, yeah, I would say are
a Treasure
musical.
Planet.
Treasure, but I never heard of that.
Oh, it's amazing. It's
Yeah?
science fiction actually, yeah, involving cyborgs and aliens and stuff like that, traveling in space.
Ah, I'm gonna write this down.
I think you're gonna love it.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Katerina just gave us some input here. She's saying, so one of the most interesting films is The Piano Player by Roman Polanski. It's about
Mm-hmm.
World War II, maybe it's World War II or the
Mm-hmm.
Second World War. And it's seen by the eyes of a Jewish player who survives from the occupation of Poland. Cool.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. Piano player.
Ah, is it The Pianist, maybe?
Oh, I think maybe I've seen it. I think it's very,
Yes,
very
The
cool.
Pianist. Aha, great. Yeah, that's a very nice one, Katerina.
Love it.
Nice. But her favorite genre is thriller. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, of course, referring to World War II when kind of like sort of the Jewish experience. I mean, of course, an Italian masterpiece is Life
Hmm.
is Beautiful. Have you seen
Life
that,
is
Anika?
beautiful. Oh
Yeah.
yes, I
It
love that film.
is, I mean, the way that they, managed to combine the
Hmm.
sadness with the happiness, I mean, that was just brilliant. It was very, very,
Yes.
very good film.
Yeah, that film makes you cry and laugh at the same time. It's
Hmm.
incredible.
Very hard to do to, touch such a delicate subject
Yes.
in such a way. Yeah. Uh, a good, guess, distinction we can make here is the
Hmm.
difference between film and movie. For a long time, I didn't quite understand the difference myself. And I would say, because see, The Pianist or Life is Beautiful, etc., those we would definitely consider films.
Hmm.
So a film is something that tends to be more artistic and cultural, whereas a movie tends to be something that is created more to generate profit. So to have a large
Hmm.
audience.
Oh.
Some of them are hard. It's hard to define something. Is it a movie or a film? A lot of them are a combination of both. But if you think of, for
Hmm.
example, like I don't know, like Spider-Man. See, Spider-Man is definitely a movie,
Hmm.
right? It's about, yeah, it's to generate excitement. You tend to have a lot of special effects. A lot of
Mhm.
Hollywood productions tend to be movies. And I feel like
Hmm.
most European productions are more films.
Yeah. I didn't know that, Chago.
Yeah,
Thanks for the
me either.
information.
It's something that I've learned recently. That's a big difference between
Cool.
movie and film. Movies for entertainment, and
Yeah.
film, while film can be entertaining, it's more of an artistic production.
Hmm. Interesting. I used to
Yeah,
think it's more of an American English thing.
yeah. Some people I've heard that before, but then I know that even in the U.S., some people say film, and that's why I looked into it, and that's what
Mhm.
I found out.
Hmm. Good.
Um, Patrick is saying the best documentary that I watched last year is The Great Hacker on Net. Patrick, is that the one about Cambridge Analytica and Facebook? If it is, yeah, it's a great one. If the one I'm thinking
I
about.
haven't seen that film
Oh
or
gosh, it
movie.
is
What's it called?
terrifying. I think it's called The Great Hack, if I'm not mistaken. The Great
Cool.
Hack.
I'm gonna look for it.
Yeah, it goes over, talks about the like Brexit and like Trump's elections and how, this one company that got caught,
Mm.
basically they were influencing the votes and they really specialized in identifying targets of people that they heavily advertise or they threw content at that would just completely then change the outcomes of elections.
Cool.
So yeah, it's almost like a horror documentary, like real life horror.
Yeah.
uh, All right, guys. So just moving on here. Anika, do you want to read these questions? Because I think there's some great
Yes.
words for us to talk about here.
Sure. So, who are the main characters? Which character did he or she play? The hero, the villain, the sidekick? Where or when does the film take place? And what is the plot?
Hmm. So yeah, plot we talked about. So that's the story.
Mm-hmm.
So to take place is a nice verb that we can use to talk about when and where the film happens.
Yeah.
Right? Do you want to go over
Yeah.
these
So,
the other ones, Anika? Yeah.
yeah. So characters setting a plot. So we can talk a bit about the questions. The other ones, you mean like we can
Yeah,
discuss
maybe
the
some
answer.
of their that's the difference maybe between an actor and a character, and then like the
Okay, yeah.
hero, the villain, the sidekick.
All right. So let's talk about some of these words here. So a hero is obviously the main character or the main protagonist of the film, and that the person or the character that the film focuses on. So, for example, in Harry Potter, the main hero is Harry Potter, of course.
Hmm.
So the villain is what makes the film or movie really interesting. So that's the bad guy of the film, right? So whatever happens, the villain wants to mess up everything. So in Harry Potter, for example, the villain was Voldemort, Lord Voldemort. And then, for example, in Lord of the Rings, the villain was uh, the Lord. I can't remember the place in Mordor. The Lord of Mordor.
Sauron.
Sauron. Yeah, Sauron was the villain of Lord of the Rings. So the bad guy is the villain. Really common. And sidekicks are kind of like friends of the hero, like not the main character, but usually helps the hero do his thing, or to keep to be by their side. So that's where the
Exactly.
sidekick comes from. Yeah. So all of these characters, the hero, villain, or sidekick, um, is acted out by an actor. So yeah, so as Shago has written down, so an actor is a person in real life, and character is the person in the story. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So for example, if you guys have a favorite character in any film, you can let us know. Like some characters are so good, they become really memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters is actually when it's difficult to tell if it's a hero or a villain. Uh,
Oh. Hmm.
I think a classic example, one that has become really, really popular, is this is a TV series, but it's Breaking Bad. Have
Mm-hmm.
you seen
Oh
Breaking
yeah,
Bad?
of course, I love
Yeah,
it.
right. So it's really difficult to, at the beginning you see um, Walter, is that his name? You
Walter
see,
White, yeah.
yeah, you see him as, he's kind of the hero. He's suffering from cancer. He wants to provide for his family. So he's the
Mm-hmm.
classic hero figure. But then as
Mm-hmm.
the series kind of go on, you kind of start questioning, is he a hero or is he a villain? Because it's really hard to tell because now he's creating damage to his family, killing people, wanting to become this big drug lord.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like when it's hard to tell what the character is. So it's kind of because I think it's also more realistic. I think that's how it works in real life. People aren't good or bad.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So those kind of characters, you start liking them, and then when you like them enough, boom, you hate them.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So as you guys answer these questions, so just let us know if you want to, just to use these new words to practice. All right, you don't have to answer, of course, all of them,
Mm-hmm.
because we only have about 7 minutes left. There were just a few adjectives that we wanted to look at with you that can be quite
Mm-hmm.
useful when describing a film. And before we do that, Patrick has a nice answer there. So, in The Godfather, the main actor, so maybe the main actor is Marlon Brandon, and he played Don Corleone. I didn't think that exists the hero because they didn't have a villain.
Have the villain, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, villain. Hmm.
Yeah, or a villain. Yeah, see, a Godfather is another one. That's the fascinating thing also about films that go over bad guys, like villains, because once you get to see all the pieces, you almost
Mm-hmm.
start cheering for them,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you think about it, it's like you have this mafia boss that we're like cheering for, or I remember like when I was watching Narcos
Mm-hmm.
and just really like wanting like Escobar to like evade the police and but I'm like, oh my gosh, he's like a terrible person that like killed, like terrorized an entire country. uh
Mm-hmm.
but it's interesting that
But you
based on the
started cheering.
perspective, yeah, you start cheering for the bad guy. So
Cool. I've never seen Narcos, but I plan to start. Mm.
yeah, it's quite nice. I don't know how you feel about do you like watching things even if like you don't know the language?
It depends on the plot. If I have a really good plot, I don't care. I can
Hmm.
watch it in any language. So
Cool.
is that how Narcos is? I thought it's in
It's a
English
mix. It is in English, but all the scenes that happen. So if it's Colombian characters, then they will be
though.
speaking Spanish. So it is.
Mhm.
It's a mix.
Okay. Oh, I don't
Yeah,
mind, I think.
yeah. No, it's nice. I think Narcos also a nice thing about it is the fact that they've, especially in the first couple, it's a combination of scenes that were shot with
Mm.
the actors and also like real life footage from, like news reports, etc. And so it's kind of like a series documentary in that sense. So they
Oh,
try
that's
to
amazing.
show, to show what really happened by fictionalizing some of it, while also showing the facts. So yeah,
That sounds very cool.
yeah. All right, guys. So here, just a few adjectives for us to look at. So we have very funny, violent, all right, awful, very scary, very sad, and exciting. So these are basically the more basic ways of expressing adjectives. But then on the right side, maybe Anika, if you want to read this for us, these are more specific adjectives that might convey the meaning more efficiently.
Yeah. So we have tragic, terrible, okay, bloody, hilarious, gripping, and terrifying.
Yeah. So if you know any of them, if you know the synonyms,
Mm-hmm.
let us know.
Yeah. Can match them. Oh, we have to match them, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll be matching them. So maybe we can do the first one just so you guys get the activity. So if a movie is very funny, we can say that the movie is hilarious. So it's the
Yeah.
same meaning. Very funny or hilarious.
Yeah. It's hard to find a very funny movie sometimes.
Yeah.
Like some movies. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so many different types of comedy. And also, I think when movies try too hard, at least
Mm,
personally, I feel like it's not as funny. It's like too, over the top.
true.
Uh, Olga, hi Olga. She's saying, I watch all
Hi,
movies in
Olga.
English
Nice
with
to see
English
you again.
subtitles, and if I don't understand the logic, and if you don't understand logic works, yeah, you can just apply logic. Yeah, sure. Especially if you kind of know the plot already. Yeah,
Mm,
good. Nice that you watch it in English. Very good job.
mm,
Oh yeah, but good point. It doesn't work with stand up. Yeah, because stand up is very
mm,
cultural as well. So kind of getting the you have to know a lot about. There's a lot of play on words as well.
sure.
Yeah, so very funny. Good job, Patrick. Hilarious. Violent. Yes. Bloody. Yeah, a lot of blood.
Mm,
Yeah, all right. Good job, Chiara and Patrick. Yeah, all right means okay. And usually in English, it just means not so great.
yeah.
Not so great. Exactly, Katerina. Violent, bloody.
Mm-hmm.
All right, okay. Excellent. What about awful? Movie was
Also might not be
awful.
very common among many students.
Yeah. Katerina and Patrick got it. Nice job.
Nice.
Yeah, awful. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. Very scary. Yes. Terrifying. Very sad. Like someone mentioned the Titanic before. I
Mm,
think has a very sad ending.
mm-hmm.
So actually, Katerina, terrifying would be more like scary. Ah, no, sorry. I was reading the. I thought you were saying very sad. You're right. Yeah, very scary is terrifying. You're absolutely right. And very sad, yeah, is tragic.
Tragic. Yeah.
Yeah, tragic and exciting. Say gripping. Exciting or gripping. So these are some more specific adjectives. Great, Sonia. All right, guys. Now, unfortunately, we are all out of time for today. But really, thank you for all the contributions. I personally had a lot of fun talking about this. Thank you guys for bringing Harry Potter. That really made my day. And we hope that these adjectives and just words in general have been useful for you to describe and talk about films in the future. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys. And I hope you guys have a great day.
Yes. Thank you. Have a lovely day, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.